happened to the two of us actually. It was a Sunday morning. We'd shot all night on Saturday, and he was dropping me home in the morning, and he parked his car right outside my building on a main road. So we're just talking, and somebody has come and like knocked on the door. Hey, kya chal raha hai? And you know, I just burst out laughing because I had half a mind to tell him, sir, हम research कर रहे हैं actually, हमारी film बन रही है.
I'm happy that it's moved from 14. 14 was not a good date for Jersey. I mean, it took time for them to realize, but yeah, I think that's the right call for the producers, the makers, and we would love for it to do well as well. So, I mean, most welcome. I mean, it was lonely.
Since it's been a long time since Tere Naam 1 came out, and the discussion has been on for a really long time, I don't know if it's going to happen or not.
Hi, this is Amina Sheikh here, and with me today I have the star cast of Operation Romeo, welcoming them on ETimes. To begin with you, Neeraj, I must say that I didn't see the trailer. I saw the social experiment which Sharad did on Instagram, and that was like, oh my god, this is something very different, you know, and that really catched the attention of, you know, for me, for that matter. Then I saw the trailer, and I really love the trailer, the way it has been built. In fact, I would definitely go and watch the film in the theatres. What made you make a film on such a subject?
Well, since there's no film on the subject, there's no film that has ever been made. That was a big reason for us to delve into it, and also the fact that, you know, as producers, me and Sheetal, we are always on the lookout for subjects which have not been tried before and bring something new to the audience all the time. It just ticked both the boxes, and here we are.
Sharad, you know, your role is that of a tough cop, and you're just so tough on him for that matter. How did you get into that character?
I think the first...
It was so much of a grueling session for him, I must say that.
For an actor, it's essential to understand the character first, and I think Shashank and Neeraj sir was quite sweet to narrate me properly once or twice or thrice maybe, and we discussed about it. And, obviously, that confusion was always there. What's the limit of this character? It has always been there on the sets also. How much I can go far and where to stop. So I think that was a big, tough decision for all of us, where to stop. But that was a major question in my mind, as well as, you know, when you're shooting certain sequences and, you know, you improvise, or you have co-actors like Kishore Kadam, so there's very tough time to stop, to put a full stop. So very tough kind of scenarios, because it's a long scene. So yeah, it's a tough preparation first of all, and they're damn sweet here. So it was much easier, I think, for us to threaten or whatever we were doing there. But you know, it was affecting me also after the shoot. That what the hell I'm doing on the sets, and so I actually went to him and I asked him, sir, it's troubling me post shoot also.
Oh my god.
He said, is it troubling you? I said, yes. Then you're doing good. That was a simple answer. I said, go shoot. Okay. But it was a tough thing. I think I have never done such kind of role in my life, so toughest one.
In fact, Bhumika praised you, Sidhant. She said, like, you know, you were in a trance while playing the role. So what do you have to say about this role? Because, of course, it was, you know, kind of tough. And, you know, sort of, I would not compare, you know, two films, but sort of it reminded me of Kunal Kemu from Kalyug. Sort of, not much.
I mean, sorry, I haven't seen that film, but it reminded you of it. I think every actor brings something to the table, I feel. And everyone has a certain process that works for them. I had to find my own for this film, especially because of the transition from being this vulnerable guy to getting into that whole intense space. So, the thing is, when I was chosen by Neeraj sir to do this film and Shashank sir to do this film, I realized that it's a life that I'm taking upon. It's like a responsibility, right? And when I heard this character, the story for the first time, I felt a lot of compassion towards this guy. When you feel compassionate towards someone, you feel that responsibility, and I knew there will be no looking back once I go in, and I gave it as much as I could. But at the same time, there are those fears which I could get rid of, because I've been that vulnerable guy before. So it took me back in time, and then the rest of the part, which is very intense, it just sailed through. Once you understand the character, once you live the character, once you do your work as the actor, no matter what situation comes, you just sail through in that space. So thankfully I could. Yeah.
He also came to me once saying that it's affecting him. And the same advice was given to him also. He's doing his job well.
While playing the characters,
Yeah,
basically.
it was because there were these long sequences, and it required me to be in that space, and something in me couldn't leave that. And every night when I remember, I used to go home and I was like, and I told Neeraj sir also, this is torture, and I'm doing this to myself. And the thing is, every single day on
And
set.
I think Neeraj loves to torture you to get the best out of you all.
No, I mean it
No,
was
I
required.
was not the one who was torturing them. It was Sushant basically, and he was on the sets. And as long as all of them at the end of the day enjoyed the whole process, that's what you look for, don't you? I mean, it's okay. It's grueling while you're doing it, but when you see the end product, that's what counts.
Because the torture has that bliss, the release the next day on the set when action happens. You just flow. You're in the moment, and to get to that moment, you're required to go through that torture. So it is important.
How was it for you, Vedika, because it's your debut in a way, and
Yes.
Liggi was something which has become so popular, and then suddenly you work in a film which is completely the opposite in such a way. Of course, we cannot compare both the things, but it's a very dark film also somewhere.
It is.
So how was it for you, especially being the subject of the story?
It was, I think it was a very challenging role, not just in terms of the intensity of it or how dark it was. I think from the get-go of it, Neha, my character, and I are very different as human beings. And I think getting into that character was also quite different because as a person, I'm quite extroverted and lively, and I like to make light of situations. And Neha, on the other hand, is quite reserved and introverted and things like that. So that was the first part. But I think what was something that this film gave me, one of the many things that this film gave me, was a chance to discover qualities of myself that I didn't know. Like at my core, I'm a very shy person, like Neha is, and I think I've just subdued that over the years because of whatever reasons. So that was the first part. As far as the intensity of it goes, yes, it was very dark. There were many nights that I went home questioning whether the feelings that I went home with were mine or they were Neha's. Like, who is feeling these things? Is it me? Is it Neha? But I am also Neha, so where is this coming from? And it was challenging because a lot of my acting was more of a reaction and more of expression rather than, let's say, dialogue or, dialogue mainly. But I think it became easier also because I had actors like Sharad sir and Kishore sir who made it so believable. My intention was to be as honest as I could with my acting, with my performance, and the kind of environment that we created on that set, it enabled me to be that honest. So in hindsight, I'm sure, like Neeraj sir said, it was a very grueling month of shoot, and lots of emotion, lots of confusion, lots of
Mysteries,
lots of whatever you could think. But in hindsight, it was a very, very wholesome experience and a very gratifying experience.
Bhumika, you are back to Bollywood, say after 3 years almost. You took a break and now you're working on this project. We have seen your films, be it in Tamil, Telugu or Bollywood for that matter. Your roles are quite subtle. Over here it's quite different, you are playing his wife and you come across such incidents, even you are going through some horrific incidents through Sidhant in a way, as the trailer says. So how was that for you?
See, I've not played a character like this before. For me, it was very interesting because the character starts off as a very simple middle-class Maharashtrian girl or lady, going about her job, day-to-day job, work, life, home. And then one day, something happens in her life that changes everything, the whole thought process. And she sees through things that she's never seen through before. Or she probably has certain, you're blinded by a certain image of a certain situation and things are revealed. So for me to play this role initially was because we went mostly in a sequence. For me, initial thing was very nice and easy and comfortable. Towards the end is when I also started feeling what I think everyone has gone through, playing the same things in their space. So when I used to go back home, I used to actually feel a little kind of drained because it just you go on and on. But then being a mother, you don't have so much space to feel so much through the night and all. I used to get back to being normal. And then the next day you go back to feeling the same thing. So this was quite a simple character turning into an intense one. And I haven't done something like this before in Hindi films.
To all, of course, you guys are actors, but at the same time, have you ever faced this moral policing by any of the cops ever in your life?
I don't think moral policing is restricted to just, you know, like someone in a position of authority questioning like a romance or something like that. It's a much broader topic.
Yes.
Right up from people commenting on how you dress or how you behave or what your opinion is or how you behave, you know, generally. And I think that's something that we've all experienced in our life. And I think that comes from this, this belief that people think that they have the right to comment on how somebody else wants to conduct themselves. And I think that's something that we are addressing, that, you know, you need to live and let live. And as long as nobody is wronging you, then who is anyone to comment on how you behave, you know?
But at the same time, like, you know, being, you know, caught by cops and, you know, being questioned in a very different way altogether. You know, being questioned in a wrong way also sometimes, you know. Even if you're late, you know, you're late in the night, you're going out, you actually get questioned. Like, acha, PK gaadi chala raha tha kya? The way they question you, you know, that's quite, you know, somewhere
it's
grooming,
very patronizing.
actually.
It happened to the two of us actually.
In person.
In person.
Yeah.
He was dropping, we had a day off. It was a Sunday morning. We'd shot all night on Saturday. And it was after like the first week, and it was a very intense week of shoot. And he was dropping me home in the morning, and he parked his car right outside my building on a main road at like 9 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday. And we're having conversation because, you know, we've just lived this whole week together and there's so many things to talk about, and our set was not the kind of set that we had time to laugh and joke and, you know, like really like debrief on the things. So we're just talking and somebody has come and like knocked on the door, hey, kya chal raha hai? And you know, I just burst out laughing because I had half a mind to tell him, sir, hum research kar rahe hain, actually hamari film ban rahi hai.
और आप help कर रहे हो हमारी.
Sharad, ever came across something like this ever?
It's not just about police, it's about a lot of other notorious people also does that for fun sometimes, for money sometimes, for just the sake of it. So, yeah, obviously I've faced my colleges, obviously not nobody can. But yeah, there are incidents where you don't know what to do. Just not moral policing, it's a harassment in the name of moral policing. That's a sad part about it. Obviously moral policing is, again, it's subjective, it's about your choices. The harassment part of it traumatizes a lot.
It can be way too dangerous.
It can take you somewhere else. So I have seen, like, obviously that time you don't want to react or you don't want to be inke pachra mein kaun padega kind of thing. And you avoid, you ignore and you go. But I've seen bunch of guys, and chal haath saaf karke aate hain. They go to a couple and then just for the fun sake they'll do nonsense with them. I've seen that couple of times, you know. But you can't. That time, there are 10 guys, you're alone. You can't do anything. So these kind of stuff happen. But now, I think the only message is you should raise your voice. You should ask for help. You should ask relevant questions to them. It's like IDs and all. Somebody's struggling. So this awareness has to be there now in society. So yes, people have been facing that. I think nobody talks about it. It's a time to talk about it.
Neeraj, what made you cast such a fresh pairing? Even Sharad and Bhumi, for that matter, is a very fresh pair, and even, you know, Vedika and Sidhant, for that matter.
So I'll start with the two of them. Sidhant and Vedika, basically we needed new faces for this story. We didn't want anyone who's been around for some time or whatever. So we went through this process of auditioning. And we must have auditioned more than 100 people for this. They came out tops, so here they are today. Bhumika is someone who's worked with me and had the pleasure of knowing her since Dhoni. So when we were on the casting of the three characters, apart from Vedika and Sidhant, Kishore, Sharad and Bhumika, they were the natural choices because I had personally worked with all the three of them, and Shashant had been in awe of all the three of them. So his only concern was that will Bhumika agree to this setup or not? Frankly, so he was so he was quite skeptical about that. And I told him, "Suna de, just get her to see the film or get her to hear the script once, and then see what happens." And thankfully, she agreed. And for me, this pairing was very interesting. It was very anti-casting. You don't normally think that both these actors are going to be cast in this manner. That was a huge magnet.
Sharad, but you're working with Sidhant like for the second time, because Bhumi also was one film where he was there. I don't know whether your paths crossed or no, but have you had conversations earlier during Bhumi?
Actually, our paths really didn't cross because I only had songs in the film, so we thought I could
And he had a very strong role.
Yeah,
no, but I know him for a long time, and I can see a clear improvement or a new Sidhant, I think, because I think they're working after 5 years or 4 years.
Yeah.
It's a huge change in him. I think he's much more experienced now. I think he has learned a lot, and he uses his experience in terms of when you perform. He thinks when you're new, you don't think, you just get off the whole space. I got an opportunity. I'm doing this. You don't think much, but now I think because he is experienced, he has he's travelled a lot and he has learned a lot in these 3-4 years. He's much more experienced and a fantastic actor.
But at the same time, you have been offered a lot of negative characters also, be it in Bhumi also, and even in this one. So how do you dwell in that characters? Because of course the roles are different, but there is this negative shade of you which comes out in roles.
Everybody has a negative shade. How much you tap it, that's a trick. But to be honest, I personally, I'm an actor. Negative or positive, whatever is given to me, my job is to do it at the end, to the fullest. For me, a villain is the hero on the wrong side. So to play the villain as a hero. So idea is that you, as heroically you do the villain, it becomes more bigger. So I just think about it and I just do it. No thought process, no preparation, no method. I fly on it.
And more often than not, antagonists are more interesting to play for any
more
actor.
fun.
Yeah, it's more fun.
Vedika, your song was appreciated by Salman, and he took to his Twitter handle, and that is how even people, of course, talking about it. Do you somewhere feel there was a turning point in your career where people started recognizing your work, and that is how you were being approached? What do you have to say about your journey like that?
Honestly, I did think that was going to be a turning point, but then COVID happened. But this film is a film that I had auditioned for soon after that video had released, and I think that you had seen that video at the time. And I think based on that, I was called in for an audition for this film. So yes, it did serve as a turning point. But I don't think that one thing, I have a long way to go to realize these things, but I don't think that one thing kind of defines you or changes things, right? Like this is now a turning point.
Yeah.
And then maybe the next one will also be a turning point. And I think it's a very gradual and slow process, and every step of the way is more important or more special than the last, or as special.
And since you've done so wonderful in that video, because it itself is a showreel for you.
It does feel like that.
Yeah, it does.
It's a showreel.
But it did.
She says it's not a turning point or it's not that one thing, but it's that one thing that fulfills.
It's the first thing.
But you do 5-6 stuff and you make a showreel out of it. But the one song itself is a showreel because you've done so much in that.
Yeah.
And people still talk about it. Even now, I'll just go and watch it. It's that good.
Oh my God, thank you so much.
Genuinely, it's that good. But Bhumika, for that matter, since we're talking about Salman also, there are reports Tere Naam 2 might happen. Is that true? Will we get to see you?
I'm not sure, because I've been hearing about this for a really long time. And I think the ultimate decision lies in the hands of the producers and director. So since it's been a long time since Tere Naam 1 came out, and the discussion has been on for a really long time, I don't know if it's going to happen or not.
In fact, Satish Kaushik compared Tere Naam to Kabir Singh. He said, Kabir Singh has certain, there is some adaptation in that one. Do you agree with that?
Please excuse me for saying I've not seen Kabir Singh.
Okay.
It's okay.
It's okay.
And neither have I seen the original, Arjun Reddy. But I did hear about it, I did read about it, that people were comparing it to Tere Naam, and so if they're saying it, I'm sure there must be something to it.
Would you prefer a sequel to this one though? Because Tere Naam is a different film altogether.
I am not much in the favor of sequels, or unless you have something really when you know in your mind as a maker, as a director, this is going to be a blockbuster. If you go with that wee bit of feeling that shayad ho jayega, we will bank on the first and sail through the next. Then it's not happening, because I feel once you've made something really incredible, you should just leave it at that. Don't make your first success let the world feel that it was a fluke. Let it be there.
Sharad, you're also working with your wife after 13 years. Tell us something about it.
It's a very sweet film. It's a very family, it's a very sweet film. It's Bajio. So we finished the shooting, I think, and started dubbing it. But it's a fun film. It was like in COVID times, when shooting in Goa. Wife is your co-actor, then what else you need?
That's true. To all, actually, this film is also clashing with Jersey at the box office. Starting with you, Neeraj, does that make you a bit like,
No, I'm happy that it's coming. Yeah, I'm happy that
actually.
It's
moved.
It's coming with it, yeah. Basically, both of them are releasing together now.
So I'm happy that it's moved from 14th. 14th was not a good date for Jersey. I mean, it took time for them to realize, but yeah, I think that's the right call for the producers, the makers, and we would love for it to do well as well. So, I mean, most welcome. I mean, it was lonely.
Now you have something.
Yeah, I have some company. So all the best.
But of course, the story of this one is quite different as compared to like that film. That film is completely a sports drama. As compared to this one, I somewhere feel it's quite different.
Yeah, it's
for
quite
that matter.
quite different. And yeah, I mean, both
It's
can
completely
coexist,
different. Yeah, like the genre is only different.
People get to see a variety now. They
Yeah.
have choice now.
Now that the
Majboori mein
theatres are
hamari film
opening
bhi
finally,
dekhi
so the theatres have opened finally. So I think like people would prefer to see varieties and all.
Right.
Before I let all of you go, what are your upcoming projects you're working on? Starting with you.
So I have a Tamil film which will release in June, and I have 2 Telugu films coming up.
Wow, that's nice. What about you, Vedika?
I do have a film coming out this year, but I would prefer not to talk about it right now.
Can you tell something about it though? I'm like literally curious now.
No, because right now my focus is entirely on this.
What about you, Sidhant?
I finished a project, but again, I'm
not allowed to talk.
I'm really not allowed, but they're making an announcement soon. But I mean, right now, this means the world to me, so I can't even think about anything else.
I'm looking at his reaction. He's like,
He has multiple stuff, no? So
मैं नहीं
that's-
बताऊंगा तो लोग मुझे काम के लिए बुलाएंगे.
but yeah, you have multiple projects anyway. You
It's,
told me
they're
during the
released
live.
now, most of them, because I shot during lockdown and in 2021. So there are few things which are ready to release.
But Sharad, you're also known as Prabhas's voice in a way. And of course, Bahubali's voice. Yeah, because it's Prabhas's voice, no? But yeah, you have been known like that. And that film, of course, rose to, completely different, and even RR for that matter. So, would you prefer playing a character like that though? Playing Bahubali.
Rajmouli sir is launching me. I'm more than happy. I told him a few days back that off screen I've worked with you. Now I want to work with you on screen. So hopefully. Very soon.
What about you, Neeraj? What are your upcoming projects lined up?
Well, there's one lined up on the 22nd of April for sure. It's coming out, Operation Romeo. Then there are various projects in various stages of development and stuff. So we'll talk about it.
So who are your upcoming, actors? Because you have worked with Akshay, you have worked with Anupam Kher, you have worked with him now again. So tell us something.
We'll talk about it at the right time. It's still early. Yeah.
Thank you so much for your lovely time and all the very best.